Hi, my name is Charlie, and you can also call me the Guitar Boy. Today, we are going to be treating another important topic in chemistry, the concept of mole. If you are a chemistry student, you do not understand the concept of mole, you are going to stumble and stumble and stumble in chemistry. But if you understand the concept of mole clearly, you will gain a lot of things in chemistry. Life will become easy for you. Now let's move straight to the topic. Now, the concept of mole. Before you understand the concept of mole, you should understand the meaning of relative mass clearly. How what relative mass really means clearly. With that, I'm going to just talk little things about relative mass, which we did in one of our previous videos. So what we did there, I'm just going to introduce it here. Then we move to definition. Then it will be simple and easy for you to understand. Now, in that our video, we talked about the relative mass. We use something to analyze relative mass. We said, imagine a manager of a company having 3 workers. Let's say the manager of a company having 3 workers. Let's say this is the first worker. And the first worker has a value of, if you don't, you can go and watch that video, relative mass. So the first worker has a value of 1. When I mean a value, like a value as a human being, what is your value? Like, what can you contribute to the society? What can you contribute to your company? So maybe in one way or the other, they were able to measure it. The actual value of this man is 1. So if the actual value of this man is 1, then maybe we have another. Let's call this man hydrogen, or let's call this man hydrogen. This other man is what? Oxygen. Let's call this man carbon. So this other man has a value of 2. Let's call this man oxygen. This other man has a value of what? 3. Now, maybe these are their actual value, what they actually worth. These are their values. Now, this man, their manager, maybe external supervisor, or maybe external supervisor came to the institution to ask the manager, Mr. Manager, what is the value of hydrogen? This man, hydrogen. Mr. Manager, maybe for one reason or the other, decided to change the value. Mr. Manager knew the value of this man before. He knew it clearly, but he decided to change it, to assign a new value to it, just for some reason. Maybe he wants to hype his company. I don't know. He now say, okay, the man, Oga Inspector, the value of this man is 4. So the Mr. Manager, since he has already given this guy that has the actual value of 4, he would have to change the value of this one. I explained it in that video. How is he going to change the value of this man? He has to calculate a new value for this one relatively to this value. For instance, he will say, if this one that was having a value of 1 is not given 4, therefore this one that was having a value of 2 will not be given S. This S means what? I don't know. Will not be given S value. When you cross multiply, it will not be what? 2 times 4 all over 1, which is what? 8. So the manager will not give this other guy 8, the new value of, he will not assign new value 8 to this guy. Now the same thing will be done here. So it will not be what? If everything will be measured with reference to this one. If this guy that was having 1 is giving what? 4. Therefore, this guy that is having 3 will be giving what? S. I don't know. That's why I want to calculate. It will not be what? If you cross, it will not be S is equal to this times this, 3 times 4 all over 1, which is equal to 12. If you have not watched that video, go and watch that video. So what I want to explain here is that everything will measure relatively to this. So this one is not 12. The manager cannot say, oh, let me quickly calculate this one. This one is 12. So if this inspector now eventually asks the manager, what is the value of this other man carbon? The manager can boldly tell the man that it is what 8, and he also ask for that of oxygen, the manager will tell the man that it is what 12. Now think about one thing. Because they were measured relatively, their number, it will be affected. Now let's assume that, okay, this man has a actual value of 1. How many of this kind of man will actually give you this 4? This is not his value, this is the actual value of this man. But how many of them will give you this 4 that did not give it to dash him? They dash him 4. How many of them will actually give you this 4 that they dash this man? 4. Because 1 has this actual value. 4 will not have this value. So if you still come here, this man have the actual value of 2. How many of them, this man will give you this value? It is also 4, because 1 has 2. 4 will give you 8. 4 of this man will give you 8. So you also come here and say 4 of this man will give you 8. So when you also come here, how many of this man will give you actually 12? It is also 4, because 1 give you 3. 4 will give you 12. So you also come here 1, 2, 3. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What does that tell you? It tells you that when you follow relative mass, if you follow the relative masses and assign a value to a given substance, maybe in real chemistry you are talking about hydrogen, let's leave humans now, hydrogen, carbon and oxygen, you assign a value to them. The actual number of the particles, if this one was to be oxygen, the actual number of the particles of oxygen that will give you this mass that you now dash it, is 4. The actual number of carbon atom that will give you this 8 is 4. The actual number of this is what? Is 4, I mean. So 4 here now is now what? Constant. 4 is constant, which means the number of particles here is what? 4. This 4 is constant for when you count the number that will give the actual value, that will give you the value you gave to them. When you count them, is 4. The 4 is constant. This is the concept of what? Mole. This is where they get this number now, is where they got mole for. So in the same vein, that is how we also calculate from what we have here. We also calculate the relative mass of atoms, of any particles in chemistry. Take for instance, the actual mass of one atom of carbon is 1.67 times 10 raised to power minus 24. And this particular mass was assigned a value of 1, just as we assigned a value of 4 to this man that was having a value of 1 before. So this particular value, this one atom of hydrogen was assigned a value of 1 also. So if you count the number of, you see that this value is very, very small. If you count the number of hydrogen atom, just as we count the number of these that will actually give us this 4, if we count the number of hydrogen atom that will actually give us this value, the number of hydrogen atom that will actually give us this value is 6.02 times 10 raised to power 23. This is the number of, just as this number now, this is the number of hydrogen that will actually give us this 1 gram, the number of hydrogen that will give us, just as this is the number of this man that will give us this. And this number you have here was calculated mathematically and experimentally verified, and this number is called what? Avogadro's number, or you call it Avogadro's number or Avogadro's constant. So this Avogadro's constant now is now called what? A mole. It's now called a mole, and it is, we will not use this Avogadro's number to define a mole. We now say, if they ask you what is a mole is a substance that contains the Avogadro's number of particles. A mole is a substance that contains this number of particles. you see that a mole is just functioning just the same way as dozen. So just like you say, what's a dozen? Just as dozen is a unit of measurement, a mole is also a unit of measurement. And you see how we got mole. So just as if you say a dozen of marker is 12, right? 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. While a mole of marker is what? Is this value, very large. This big value, a mole of, if I want to write it, if I want to write it another way, is what? 6, 0, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just like that. Very large number. Because atoms, molecules, and atom molecules are very, very small. We need large number of these to get this number. Which means, in other words, if you want to also define a mole, you can say a mole is a substance which contains as many elementary particles as contained in 12 grams of carbon-12. A mole is a substance which contain as many elementary particles as contained in 12 grams of carbon-12. You know, 12 grams is a relative mass. And since it is a relative mass, it must contain this number of carbon. Like oxygen is a relative mass. Since it is a relative mass, it must also contain this number of carbon. Hence, the word molar mass. Molar mass is a mass of 1 mole of that substance. So if I say what is the molar, that is why we can call 16. We say, if they ask me what is the molar mass of carbon, the molar mass of carbon is what? 12 grams. Now, when you are using molar mass, you use gram because you are just talking about the mass of 1 mole of that substance. The mass of 1 mole of that substance, 12 grams. But if you are using relative mass, you just use 12 because your relative mass was calculated from ratio by comparing the various masses of substances. So we already explained that. So in real sense, mole is just a unit of measurement. It operates. If I say how many mole of, just like operate the same way. Okay, so most of us do not also understand the difference between mole and molecule. They are not the same thing at all. Molecule is a particle. For instance, molecule of water, this is 1 molecule of water. If I say 1 mole of water, it means this thing times this number. That is 1 mole of water means this 1 molecule now. 1 molecule is just the particle, just like this marker. If I say 1 marker, but if I say 1 mole of marker, it means this number, just like 1 dozen of marker. But molecule is the particle itself. A mole is what you use to measure it, just like a dozen. Molecule is the particle itself. A mole is what you use to measure the particle. You use mole to measure molecule. You use mole to measure atom. You use mole to measure any particles. Okay, you use mole to measure ion. Use mole to measure neutron, proton, and others. So that is what mole. A mole is a substance which consists of as many elementary particles as contained in 12 grams of carbon-12 isotope. So in 12 grams of carbon-12 isotope, it contains this number of particles. In 24 grams of magnesium, it contains that amount. So when I say 1 mole, when I tell you 1 mole of a substance, 1 mole of water. If I say 1 mole of water, I mean water molecule, which is H2O, to this number. So the reason why we use mole is for we to be able to do calculation in a very convenient way, because this smaller value will be difficult for we to use like that. So the concept of mole makes life easy for us to run our calculation. So I have explained the concept of mole to you. Make sure you go and check that other video before coming back to this particular video. In our next video, I will just solve one or two problem about mole. Then we move on to our next topic. Thank you so much. God bless you and remain blessed. And I still remain your friend. And if you are here in Edo State, you are looking for a place for physical classes, we are in Edo State bypass. We are in Ohawan. We are close to Belisima Junction. Okay, we are not far from Belisima Junction. You can come and join our physical classes, and God will richly bless you. Thank you. And Fruitful Ground Tutorial will be grateful to have you with us. Thank you so much. Bye.